until you give me a better solution then. Okay, if we can go one more slide. Okay. I know I was told as I walked over here, I talked to one of our congressional liaisons, and I told them where I was going to go tonight, and they basically said to me, so definitely don't throw up a line and block chart. Nobody's interested. And so I was, well, too late. I've already got a line and block chart in the slide deck, but I will spend a little time on this, right? So recruiting command, I think you get it. I will tell you, I spent 2 years as a deputy in recruiting, and then I commanded a recruiting brigade as well. So I can talk to you in depth ad nauseum about the left side. The one thing that I find interesting about the left side is a place called AMO, which is the Army's marketing agency. So all of the commercials and all that stuff falls under USEREC. I will tell you that when I sat as the deputy of USEREC, those types of commercials got so much scrutiny that we were presenting them to the Secretary of the Army so they could look through that. So they understand the importance of the message. In the center there, I'm not going to bore you with too much, but what we've done, which I think is brilliant as well, is we've taken the training centers and brought them back out of what was once FORCECOM and brought them into the Combined Arms Center. Again, why not bring them into the same organization that turns around and trains soldiers, that provides input into equipment and so on and so forth, that can gain the lessons learned. Earlier we talked about the Harding Project, and that's one of the areas that we're essentially CAC is running to where, you know, everybody remembers probably the old call organization where you had all the manuals, and that was the thing where you had your little tough box and you rolled out to the National Training Center, you had all the call manuals, but you didn't bust them out because they were too heavy and you didn't want to deal with them. Well, why not have a database or an automated way to be able to go in and search for Ukraine lessons learned, you know, publications, technical manuals, all that stuff. And that's what that Harding Project's doing. So again, why not, again, a great justification for having NTC and and JRTC tucked underneath it. A lot of people have been asking the questions about why not get JMRC from Europe to fall under that as well. That might be a little bit of a tug and pull with the commanders over there. And then finally in the Future Concepts Command, and I would tell you that for those of you that are representing industry, this is really where I think you make the most bang for the buck, is inside of this organization. Lots of people want to come to the headquarters and have office calls with me and basically want to talk, and I will certainly give them everything there is to do with the staff and the staff tracker and the directorates and all that, but I'm like, if you really want to get to where the money's made, in my opinion, in terms of where industry engages, it's right there in the Future Concepts Command. Now, again, I've talked a little bit about DevCom. I can certainly walk you through that, but as a former commander, but you've also got the medical recruiting, or I'm sorry, the medical development center there, and so that's like DevCom, but for all the medical stuff. And so inside of, and then TDAC, which is like your data analysis. So I had DAC, which was your DevCom Analysis Center. That's now, I gave up Larry Larimer, and he went to go he leads the TDAC. And so, again, what a powerful organization that talks about analysis, that talks about all of the, you know, thousands of Army scientists and engineers that are out there inside of that organization. But that is where I like to look at folks from industry and say, if you want to get in and you want to start to talk to the right people, you need to go into the Future Concepts Command and understand how requirements are built, and then understand exactly which center and lab you need to tap into. The one conversation I love to have about the centers and labs when I was the commander is that it was when drones were kind of kicking off in a major way. And I remember going to almost every single one of my centers and labs, and they all wanted to show me, you know, drones. And I'm like, and I remember going like to Armament Center. I was like, why are you talking about drones? I mean, shouldn't that be AVMIC? I mean, they're Aviation Missile Center. I think they're like, well, hey, we're trying to determine what armaments we're going to put at the bottom of these things and use it in that fashion. I'm like, okay, I'll buy that. And then I went to my Chem Bio labs and I did the same thing. I'm like, why are you guys working on drones? Chem Bio labs, really? And there's like, hey, sir, we're going to put sensors on these things so we can fly a drone into in an area and basically drop it down, so I don't have to put a soldier out there to go figure out what type of chemical contaminant is out there. And I could tell you that story through every single one of my centers. I think my directors thought I was absolutely, you know, batshit crazy, because I was just like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? But every one of them had a very good explanation as to what they're doing. So DevCom is absolutely unique in all of its in everything it's done. So after this, if you have a question in terms of how you can get in there, by all means, you know, let me know. And then at the bottom there, you'll see every one of the centers of excellence. I would tell you that there's a relationship with those centers of excellence, which each one of the commands, whether it be on the recruiting side, because you can absolutely imagine, you know, they've got soldiers, they've got to recruit, they've got to be in contact with the centers of excellence to determine how many intel folks, you know, how many armor folks, how many infantry folks we need to recruit. And then within the centers of excellence, you can see we're in the concept center. It makes perfect sense as well, because a lot of those individual commandants in those centers of excellence have to make sure they understand the requirements to be able to feed it back in. So I was told not to spend forever on it. I did. I apologize. Go next slide for me. All right, we talked at length about USREC. I'm not going to bore you with that one. Go to the next one. We talked with CAC. The one thing that came to mind, it kind of blew me away a little bit when this is like Army University, which has your War College, has all the rest of that stuff is inside of CAC. I didn't know that initially. I was a graduate of the War College. Had no idea that it fell under CAC, but oh well, I learned. And then if you go to the next one, so FCC, we spent a significant amount of time talking to this, and again, this should be like where many of you are kind of like, this is where I want more information, I want to know more about that, and that's exactly, so FCC's got all those different organizations. Again, what I would say is the most powerful piece when it comes to getting the new technology to our soldiers. So if you go one more. Okay, like I said, T2Com Enterprise, 103 installations across 50 states. So it's absolutely huge. Again, how do you manage it? You take three stars and you empower them to get after it. You give them a clear task and purpose, and they do extremely well. So that's what that's essentially the laydown we have. So like for example, if like we got folks that will come knocking on the door and they'd come in and say, hey, I want an office call with General Hodney. And in many cases, I think General Hodney did absolutely zero office calls with anybody from industry. And people would be like, well, why is he doing that? It's because he is imparting all of that stuff down with his, to his MSC commanders, to the Future Concepts Center, or commander to do those types of things. And frankly, that was not where he wanted to spend his time. I mean, he wanted to be out, and he traveled like a machine, as is General Brown right now. So if you want an office call with him, good luck, because you'd never catch him anyway, because those guys are always on the road. And if you go the next slide for me. So this is a slide that, frankly, everybody and their brother hates. We've been told not to show it by very many of senior leaders in the Army. I like to show it because I think it shows how complex everything is that's going on. So if you look at it, the center there, you've got your centers of excellence, which is what I would consider the center of gravity. And then as you look around it, those are all the connections. And it should be like that. Everybody should be able to talk to one another, to be able to exchange ideas and go from there. Is it confusing? It is. But if I asked you right now to walk me through how the acquisition process goes, everybody and their brother would be like, it's confusing. And it is. So it's our job to kind of break those barriers down to be able to walk ourselves through it. So again, if you I'll probably get crushed by showing the slide, but I've only got 2 more weeks until I go to terminal leave, so you feel free to do what you got to do. All right, go next slide for me. All right, so I'm going to actually go one more, if you don't mind. This QR code, all right? If you pull on that QR code right now, and we'll do kind of a proof of principle on this. And you tell me, and then I'm going to give you everybody, I see all the phones going up. You can check it out. Now I'm going to, everybody good? Phones down? Okay, now I'm going to go back to the previous slide. You should get something that looks like that. Or it's going to be a page that allows you to get to all those points of contact. So one of the things that I absolutely loved about where we were headed with a lot of this is the fact that we, in my opinion, prior to the development of T2Com, we had almost this kind of weird invisible wall that did not allow people to kind of enter into it, to be able to have frank conversations about technology and things of that nature. This should allow you, the link that you just had, should allow you to open it up and click on all the pluses and minuses and things like that. It should show you exactly where you want to go. So if you want to get in touch with somebody, a concept developer in PAE, you name it on the left there, it should get you to those locations. It should give you those email addresses to be able to get you into get you through the front door and get you started. Just today, there was an individual that came in the office and wanted to sit down talking about, mid-range rockets and all that kind of stuff. And so I used to laugh at a lot of my scientists and engineers because they would go into all these great details. And I said, I remembered when you introduced yourself, and I remember when you said, do you have any questions? Everything in between, I have no idea what you just said. That's kind of how this guy rolled. And I said, hey, listen, here's the QR code. In fact, I gave him the sheet that I was about to brief today. And I said, take this with you. Get the QR code, and then you can contact anybody, and it'll get you to all the right scientists and engineers that have the link. You didn't get the QR code, did you? You did. Okay. You had to look. You didn't. All right. If you go one more for me, I'll throw it back up there, and then we can transition to questions. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of an idea, and you can help me be what I would say is a spokesman for T2Com. And so when people ask like why, by all means, you can say that Cushing guy said this and it made sense, or by all means, come back at me and tell me if you think I was off. I'm a huge, again, probably paid to say this, but I'm a huge fan. I think it's going in the right direction. It's not a well-oiled machine quite yet. We're still kind of bumping and bruising through this thing. And frankly, everything we do is like sometimes just like everything else, it's the first time we're doing it in some cases. So the one thing I will tell you is that the headquarters is distributed. Which is exactly how we're operating nowadays anyway. So there are elements that are Eustis, the state at Eustis, there are elements here. And so it is weird as a chief of staff to have like your staff over at Eustis, half of them in here. But as you guys know, Teams and Google Meet and all that stuff is a wonderful thing. And frankly, it seems to be working out just fine. So I don't know if you gave me an open mic night and you told me I could talk about what I wanted to talk about. So I did, but I'm prepared to, if you guys have questions, you can certainly ask. And if I don't have an answer, I promise I will get it back to you within 2 weeks. So, okay. Thanks for your time. Yes, sir.
I ask a question?
No, please, Oz, go ahead.
Survey, you mentioned the labs, but what's the handshake between the pit and the labs? Lots of questions.
Yep.
The second question is, what is the future of the labs?
Right. So what I would tell you is like back in the day when I was in DevCom, we had General Rash who ran RICTO, right? And that was all your rapid capability stuff. I look at the pit, and for those of you who have not heard about the pit is run by this colonel. His name is Shimon Diam, and it's a little bit of a mouthful. But he gets an exorbitant amount of money, I'll just be honest with you, to get after what I would say is new and emerging technology that we've got to get tested and get into soldiers' hands quickly. He has a huge role in what we call the transformation and contact brigades, and so there's lots of technology that he's pushing through there. And so what I would tell you is that their linkage is they have conversations, but they're not necessarily wed to one another. And so I would have to honestly go back and ask some of my directors, what do they talk to them? Do they exchange information? Back in the day, what RICTO would do is they would flush out many of these emerging technologies, and then once they got it to kind of a prototype test, they would then turn around and give it back to the labs, so the labs then could pursue a little bit more of a, what I would say, the quantity build of said projects. I don't know if that's in practice right now, but I absolutely, folks that come in the door and ask me for, hey, I really need to get I've got a great idea, what do you think? And I absolutely point them at a lab, or I point them at the pit just to get started there. The future of the labs, that's another great question. I will be completely flat with you. There's lots of people asking that same question in terms of, and they asked that when I was in DevCom as well. They asked me like, well, why do we have a DevCom headquarters? Why do you exist? And so many of the labs, we owe a lab reform update back up to the building at some point. I don't know where that stands right now. I know FCC is churning on that. But as you can imagine, there's been a little bit of a change in leadership, so nobody's asked lately. And so I wouldn't say we put our fingers in our ears. We have proposals in terms of what it should look like or what it could look like. But hopefully that, Oz, gets after your question. Thanks for not asking me anything on the signal side. You were my G6, so I don't. It's going to throw it away. Yeah. See, I should make you proud. It's my G6 back in the day. So, okay. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
So I'm an airman by trade. Curious on your line and block slide.
Can you go back to that for me, please? Line and block.
Army Apps Lab and
Yes.
Army Software Factory.
Great question.
I see them. Are they a direct reporting unit right out of the headquarters?
They are.
So why did they do it that way as opposed to putting them
Good question. We actually had those same conversations when it was initially set up, and I want to say that when General Hodney initially started off, he did have them under FCC, and then he went and visited them, and said, "Oh my goodness, this could be what he called his strategic reserve." He goes, "I could actually do a lot of great work when I get specific requests and asks in terms of using both of these organizations." And so obviously you're familiar with both of them, and so just absolutely, treasures both of them. So as I looked at the software factory, we are getting requests all the time from the Army to utilize the software factory. And so who would potentially kind of fend them off and make sure that they're still doing command priority type taskings? And that's where General Hodney was like, "Hey, I'm going to keep them as a direct report to me." What does that really mean? That means that they come to me typically, right? So we're actually working our way through that one as well, in terms of like who should they go to. My personal opinion is that what a great, and General Brown wasn't happening when he was the DCG, but I'm like, hey, I think they ought to answer to you. You're the DCG for operations, if you will. I think they ought to be coming your way to make sure that we're in line with Army priorities and things of that nature. With AAL, again, what a great organization to have all of the different, the different folks, if they want to walk in and say, hey, here's the requirement, we'll bring it all together, almost in the rapid kind of development phase of it again. So great question. And General Hodney, one of the things I loved about him is the fact that he was very flexible and stuff. So he was a commander to where he would make a decision, and then frankly, we could come back and show through proof of principle whether it worked or didn't work, and he'd be like, you know what, I changed my mind. And I was like, holy cow, I've never seen that before. So again, we set him exactly where you set him initially, and then after he went and visited and spent time with both of them, and frankly kept getting pinged by all kinds of other of his peers out there, he's like, oh, no, I need FCC to really focus in on, all of the different, warfighting concepts. I've already given them a lot more to deal with, because back in the day, maybe you remember, but FCC didn't have any of that stuff on them. I was DevCom. I didn't answer to FCC. I was a direct report to AFC, right? And General Hodney was a direct report to AFC as well. So we were two separate organizations. So General McCurry, God bless him, he's fantastic, but he's got his hands full. All the PCC stuff, all the DevCom stuff. So it's a whole new world for him. But yeah, thanks for the question. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure people ask this. Okay, so from T2Com's perspective on AI, what's
Yeah.
what's the position? Is that would be the first one to go, or no? Let's wait till see what others are doing. Like, what do you tell your command how you look at AI as a strategy?
I think AI is a combat multiplier. I get fearful on AI because I don't want people to go into AI and create, hey, let me just type it in, and that's the answer. I think AI cuts down on a lot of time and gives us options, but there still has to be a human that's going to look at it and make a recommendation to put a little bit of a human piece on that one. And I know, for example, we are, I'm talking with organizations right now, frankly, that are trying to work inside of the CAC world. For many of us who grew up like having to go through the basic course, advanced course, and all that, yeah, I absolutely would love for them to build out the shell on an op order through AI, but I don't want my officers to then turn around and like default to that and say this is how it's going to work, because then there's no analysis. But I do love the idea of, hey, how many times have we gone through and done like course of action development, and we come up with two COAs. One of them's a throwaway and the other one's the real one we really want them to buy off on. If we can actually fill out the majority of like the standard op order and give ourselves more time to spend on analysis, then that's the power of AI, in my opinion. I mean, shoot, we all use it, right? We're all sitting there and playing around with it, but there's certain times that you go back and you're like, I need to fact check this thing. I need to make sure that because sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself, and I'm like, that gets a little scary over time. You're like, ooh, I didn't say that, right? But I don't, that's more or less, that's more Cushing's opinion rather than the command's perspective. But I do know that like inside of the CAC world, General Eisenhower, who's brilliant, is absolutely into more analysis than he is to just kind of, hey, just churn out a product as fast as you can, because we can all do that. Yeah, is that, hopefully that's, good or bad, I don't know, but that's where my head is. Yeah, okay. Anybody else? Okay.
All right, well, how about a round of applause for
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. We have
I'll give this one to you.
All right, where's it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Small token of our appreciation. I really appreciate you coming out today. Awesome brief, but also getting to know you, and best of luck on the next steps of transition as well. But from the AFCEA chapter, thank you very much. Thank you. All right, so what is next? We're working, and I think we have him locked in now. Mr. TJ White, if you don't know his role, certainly huge in the cyber business here in the state of Texas, underneath the governor. He will be at the end of July, I believe is when is that right? Locked in somewhere on there. So hold your calendar there, but went to the Alamo chapter about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. Phenomenal speaker on what's going on with cyber, and I think cyber might catch on somewhere here and there over the next couple weeks. So he'll be a great speaker for us in July. We will take a little bit of break in the summer period just because of summer vacation, AFA, and big Air Force conferences and all that kind of stuff. We've got a CMMC event, so a big Young AFCEA event also we're mixing in there that's not on that calendar, and then we'll restart a little bit after AFA and AUSA happen in that September, October time frame. For sponsorship, we are still, certainly as a new chapter, if you aren't familiar with AFCEA, really strong in the STEM-based education, STEM scholarships, science fairs, all that kind of stuff. As a new chapter, certainly we're trying to generate the funds to run the chapter, but certainly the goal of that, if you're a corporate sponsor, is really to bring that investment back in the STEM side of things across the community here in the Central Texas region. So I would encourage you. May is our humble agent there. She will get you set up. Frankly, it's just like any giving. No donation, sponsorship is too small, and we'll certainly support your name and recognition in these events as we go forward. So if you have any questions there, please reach out to May or frankly any of the board members, and we'll get you set up. Now, I think there's one more to thank the sponsors. Okay. A little bit about, you want me to go through this one too? Rock and roll. Events, that's what this is. Next year we will also, did you know? Sponsorship, we've got that in there, marketing. So hopefully you're seeing as we propagate both the LinkedIn and the website, you'll probably notice there's a few issues with the AFCEA International website. We're trying to navigate through those things, but if you got any questions, let the board know, and we'll get you set up with membership or any issues we're having with your membership side of it. We also need volunteers, right? As a new chapter, relatively small board, we're always looking for folks for whether that's check-in or just helping in general with Young AFCEA or any of the events that we hold. Certainly the goal is to continue to grow this chapter out in the South Texas or in the Central Texas area over the next couple of months and year. And that may be it. One more. Again, thank you, John Cushing. And then a couple of sponsors here, Red River, BTEC, and of course Station Austin, which is where we're at today. So how about we give them all a round of applause? I think we have a little bit of time left, so certainly hang around, network, engage with your fellow partners, share some business cards. We've got some great food. Thank you for our tutoring and Victoria. But please indulge and look forward to seeing the next event.
Anybody else? Here are the parking passes.
Oh.
So I did it.
Parking, passes, or anything, come up here.
Yeah. You can just whatever.
Just good for the day, or something?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, wait.
Yeah, there's
There you go.
I parked on the road. It was like $3, and then it ends at 6. So
Can I get board members on stage for a picture with our special guest speakers? Picture time with the board members and special speakers. Please come on stage.
It's not the most important guy, right? We'll split the.
We need the general. General.
I know, where's Parker?
Parker's there.
Right here.
Where's Brent?
I know, right? Where's Brent go?
We good?
What do you think? All right.
Looking great. Cheese on 3, partner 2, 3, and then you can say whatever word.
Okay. Thank you.
Shoot 3.
Yeah, I was like, hurry up, dude.
Have you ever been to other great Italian place?
Italian out there. Okay.
Mile marker, I think 5'5", main road, in a little plaza. It's the N restaurant. You have to Google it. She's from, her family's from Italy, New York City. She moved down, went out to the reservation. First come, first serve. You line up before they open. All the food, it's all
Black Miller's. Way down, like, if you continue to go south before you get over it, before you're like, head over there's a couple new ones up there. Our all-time favorite is the custard place. There's a bar, guy
I cannot wait to.
It's
so bad. Okay,
So
Josephine.
the fact that you guys are all here, and that's a well aspect is that, you know, the green side, the art side, will bring somebody from the art side, everyone's here too, right?
And I agree. I think it's one part shame on us, one part maybe the count.
All right, well, good advice.
Still learning how to message it right, and I get it. They're walking that fine line.
Have a nice early dinner.
I don't care about lines for the next 30 days.
Mindful, but we don't do a good job on our side of marketing and integration. You know, industry that
Well, it just feel like, you know, everything on the startup side, which everybody knows is here. But that's the startup. And then you talk about like the actual services providers and the business.
Seriously, it was the right size.
They go to like the big
right at 40 people.
conferences, they go to the AUSA conferences and, you know, Modernization, you know, they go to the big conferences and never see this space as a space that they should engage. So that's why I'm like trying to bring more of the established industry parts to come here because traditionally this is like, you know, it's just the federation, you know, and so like, you know, so the company that are trying to call something new and something what I'm trying to do is that when the startups is to establish more industry side and to bring them together because they need to bring them together. So,
and I think that's also a way that we can
Follow up. We just
refine our messaging. If you're interested in the new and emerging,
what business line are you in, and what would you like to hear? It's so much of it. It's just like down
your company doesn't have to be
inside
inside
a
product
or not. IT or product. Even though there's a huge medical. Nobody in the medical side is in AFCEA. They're all like 60th Air Force and, you know, regular. So I'm sure it's such a mix.
and what I noticed is, so
It's just your membership. It's just like
you have an established large, you know, industry parties, right?
it's something really simple, so they'll do it. Otherwise, it's like 2 questions. Who would you like to see me?